Hey now, cats, we're back again this week on the Balls from Ellwood Show, and I have with me a very special guest. You will know her as an actress, a writer. I don't know what the heck else. I mean, is there anything that this woman does not do? But right now, she'll look very familiar to you because if you are a Trauma fan like Balls, you can catch her now in Trauma's latest and greatest masterpiece, hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm, as Puck. Please welcome the amazing Vada Callisto.
Hello, hello.
First off, I just want to say thank you so much for being a guest. I super duper. I watched Shakespeare Shitstorm probably about 10 times over the past weekend. It was streaming for the Cinnamon Film Festival, and I can't get enough of it. I actually regret Lloyd had asked me to come and do a little part, and I never got to get on, and I didn't realize till after the fact that it may in fact be his last film. So I will regret that for the rest of my natural life. So luckily, you don't have to do that. You were amazing at it. I super loved your character. But I want to talk to you before we get into all that. I wanted to kind of do a little, so people that don't know you, which I'm sure everybody watching my show is pretty familiar with you. But I just want to say, I want to learn a little bit about you. Like, where did you grow up? Like, were you interested in acting growing up, or were your parents supportive of that? Or, I mean, what was you into?
All right. So, growing up, I grew up in Rochester, New York. For those who are unfamiliar, it's like there's controversy about where upstate begins, but it's Western New York. So if people are familiar with Buffalo, we're just east of Buffalo. I was always watching movies as a youngster. I spent a lot of time like kind of alone and just I didn't really watch a lot of trauma films. I wasn't aware of them. But I watched some queer films and like Gina Gershon was kind of my favorite. I was like kind of a queer teen kind of coming out. I watched like Sharon Stone and like some mob films, so like Donnie Brasco, anything Scorsese, around that stuff as a teenager.
Were you a horror fan?
There was some horror shown, but not a lot. My parents weren't into a lot of movies. They're not into the arts. So like my grandparents were. So really whatever my grandparents were watching. They watched like a lot of comedies, really. So it was really more on the comedy end of things. I watched Porky's as a really young child, like probably like way too young. Like just my grandmother had like a movie collection. I remember just kind of grabbing it, like, what's this, and asking her a bunch of times. So more along those lines of the funny end of things. That's what turned me on to the trauma, getting into the trauma stuff more, was how funny things were. And then then I got turned on to more of the special effects and learning about how they're made and the horror end.
See, my first exposure to trauma was when I was in, I think, high school, and I don't know if did you have this? They had a show called USA Up All Night on USA Network, and it was hosted.
I was allowed to watch it.
And was it Rhonda Shear?
Yeah,
they used to play all that stuff like Nukem High. They'd play all that, and like that was my first exposure. That was when I got the bug. But yeah, I had just been an addict ever since. But I actually read something interesting on the internet about you. I was curious. Was it true that you were the manager of a band called Battery when you
It is very true. Yeah, road manager. So I was on the road with them for about, I don't know, like 4.5, 5 years. We toured for like all across the U.S.
I read that you toured with Metallica. Is that true?
They toured with Metallica. They did a 5-city tour, 98. So like they did Toronto, New York, like the Rosen Ballroom, Philly, Detroit, Chicago. And I linked up with them in like 2001. So they were still kind of getting like a lot of like hype from coming off that tour. Like what they opened for them and played all the Metallica hits. And then when Metallica did the garage thing, they did all their covers. Like small hours when they released that album. So we when I was touring with them, got on some really cool festivals. So I, with like Livestock, I got to see like Stone Temple Pilots and Rob Zombie, Def Leppard, like
Nice.
tons of like really cool acts, as well as see the country. I've been to all but 3 states before I was like 21, 22.
Have you ever got to meet Metallica?
I was on the stage, side stage, at one of the concerts. We got some passes or whatever for one of the sanitarium tours, and the management or whatever were nice to them, and I kind of walked myself back there and stood on stage and was just kind of watching. I was standing next to Rocky. I didn't even know who Rocky was, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And Lars just kind of jumped in front of me, and after the set was over, that was about as close as I got.
So overall, it was a pretty positive experience.
Yes. I love Metallica's music. Listening to it night after night, it thumps in me. It drives. Be careful when I drive with it. It just revs me up, gets me going.
Did you ever see anything crazy break out while you were doing that job?
I've been headbutted. I've lots of insane stuff.
Is there anything that stands out in your mind as the most crazy?
Oh goodness. I mean, girls, and I have to be careful. I mean, there were girls want to dance on the stage all the time, and they want to party, and yes, there was a club in Carbondale, and it was called Sidetracks. And I thought the music was going dun, 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 dun. And I was like, the train started blowing its horn, right? It's a college town. And I was like, yeah, the train likes it. Woo, it's exciting. And then next thing you know, like the train stops and there's like flashes of light on the other side of this fence. Well, apparently someone got hit. I had no idea. And there were like pieces of body. Like I was looking through the fence, and like I think it was Small Hours that was playing. When they stopped, I was like, oh, it was like real life horror show right on the other side of the fence. Yeah, someone passed out, got drunk, passed out on the
Whoa.
track. Oh yeah.
All right,
that stands out. That's
good. I could see how that would be the one that stands out for you for sure. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your first experience with Lloyd and Trauma and their films? Like, what was your first exposure?
Lloyd in the films. So I think, I remember Netflix had some of their movies on there. But even before then, I had kind of like a little crush on Julie Strain. And I was like, oh, because somebody showed me pictures of her, and I was like, oh, she's cute, right? She's tall. And
yeah, that's right. They did that. She did that Western, wasn't it? Was it called the
Tales from the Crapper?
Oh, that's right. She was in that too. I remember that.
So everybody was like, you got to see this tall woman. She's tall like you, right? So I was just like, okay, yeah. And I looked her up and just see kind of what she's done. And I was like, let me look for this film. And I looked for it, and I remember watching it. I don't know, I had to be like 24, and I was just like, what's up with this guy wearing this trash bag? Like, what is this film about? I don't understand. Like, I wasn't totally like turned off. I've seen some weird stuff in my life, but I was just like, this is the weirdest thing, right? And I just kind of went on with my life. That's all I remember is just this trash bag man, right? And then I think I saw like, I had some friends that knew of Trauma, and then they were in, the Netflix. I saw them on Netflix, and I think it was like Toxie 2. I watched Toxie 2, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I like, the squishing of the nose, and I was like, oh, that's gross. And yeah.
Do you have a definitive favorite Troma film?
Ooh. Okay. So I get asked this a lot. So I like some of the older sexy comedies.
Mm-hmm.
I like Squeeze Play because
Oh
it's kind
yeah,
of
that's a
fun.
good one.
Yeah. So I also like, like I like Sugar Cookies. That's kind of like fun. Even though like, I like Roy didn't have a part in directing any of that or whatever, but it's a great film. It's like, it's fun. As far as newer stuff goes, some of the newer films, because I know that's kind of older. I mean, I always find myself recommending the Romeo and Juliet to people that haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's pretty. I just think it's pretty.
Oh, I think it's a beautiful film too. Like I think there's different there's different scenes alone. Like just when they're in the glass booth, I think that's
so beautiful. Like
yeah, I think it's a beautiful
can't
scene.
beat it. It's just shot so pretty. Like, and the acting's great. They had some great actors that were in there.
Will Keenan, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited because that's the first night I'll be at Tromathon in July, and they're doing Romeo and Juliet, Sergeant Kabuki Man, and Troma's War the first night. So that's going to be pretty killer.
Oh, very nice.
Well, let's get into Shakespeare's shitstorm here. I'm dying to talk to you about that. I got so many questions. Like I said, I watched it so many times over the weekend, and I got to know, what was your experience like being on that film set? I mean, is it true that it's Lloyd's final film, you think? I mean, can you describe in detail what it's like to act on a Troma set? Because, I mean, it seems like it would be way different than an actual, like a normal movie set. Like, it seems like it'd be way, way cooler.
Okay. Do I think it's Lloyd's last film? I don't know. He says he's looking for a script, and if he can find one that's like super great and can pull him out of his office or his comfy retirement chair, maybe he'll do it.
I'll be honest with you, I get like emotional even like trying to say that. Like seriously, it upsets me. Like I feel like I'm gonna cry every time I have to say it. Like I mean, I can't think of a guy that's
sending me a script so he doesn't retire, and I can.
Somebody has to do it, man. Like I feel like I just can't be it. Like it's funny, like it's been such an intricate part of my life growing up, and he's been such like an idol of mine that like you don't ever think that the ship's ever gonna sail, but I can't even imagine. Like I don't want to talk about him more, but
I'm to me it's like I'm just starting to learn. There's still so much more for me. I feel like it just like cracked, like it's like a big dinosaur egg, right? And it's just got like this tiny little crack of knowledge on it, just starting to go. And there's this big monster of a dinosaur ready to, like a movie dinosaur ready to come out and be born. But like, if he quits now, like what's gonna happen, right? I'm not gonna learn anything. So
my biggest one of the things I'm most proud of is he actually asked me to do a commercial for Troma Now before.
Okay.
It was like the coolest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Like one of my biggest idols was asking me, because I'd interviewed him and he was so impressed with all the things I said about him that he's like, you need to do a commercial for me. And I'm like, oh my God, like I was beside myself. Like I still like, I'm like, pinch me. I can't believe this has even happened. But,
why didn't you do it?
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was one of the most amazing things in my life. I know it sounds crazy, but it was one of the most things I'm most proud of. Like, but he was, like I've had so many opportunities. Like as you know, like he's just the sweetest man I've ever met. I mean, I can think about 15 years ago there was a Troma Fest at this little theater in Pittsburgh, and he came at this little rinky-dink video shop that used to be open, and we hung out all weekend long. And he would not leave till every single fan was happy and gone. And he
does. He takes his time with every person and answers every question and signs everything, and he doesn't charge people. He's just so
it's just so admirable to me.
He gives his knowledge. It's
he's such an intelligent guy. I can listen to him. I can listen to him read the phone book. Like I mean, But anyway, not enough about him. Let's talk about you and let's
Back to the set. So we get to the set, right? And
let's get back to the set here. What was the set like?
Okay, so I'm in this house. They call it the shit house. It's lovingly named the shit house. It's a production office, production house. Some of the crew guys named it that because they started their own production company. They're making great films now. Look for Curse of the Were-Deer. I'll be in that too.
I will check it out. I'll plug it on my show.
Lloyd's producing it. But you know, there's one bathroom and like 30 people. It's everything they tell you about a trauma set, right?
So that's all true.
It's everything's true with it.
Did you have cheese sandwiches?
Oh, we had beans, like tons of beans.
Well, I guess on that movie, it's not bad. I mean,
big potatoes and beans.
How did you land the part of Puck? How did that come to fruition?
So I sent in an audition tape, and then it kind of was just like, hey, do you want your Puck? Here you go. Do you want to say this? I think Zach Amico wrote my line.
I love him too. He's amazing. Yeah. I love that dude.
Zach wrote my lines, like some of the funnier lines in the film where I come out and announce who I am in a very bawdy way.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, that's a great scene, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of what happened with that. And then yeah, that was on set. I mean, I came early and I started working with the art department. So I was helping like paint bedposts, like bed frames and pipes and chopping Tempest. And
here's the most important question. What is fake shit made out of?
I know everybody asks. Everybody wants to know the recipe. And so I was kind of around and smelling it in that hot 100-degree house with one air conditioner while it was going on. So it's like body heat and sweat and farts and feet, and then brownie mix and tapioca pudding. And you could see kind of what they were putting in there, like corn. I know there was like no meat or anything because I think Lloyd had to eat it, and he was just like, "There's no animal like no animals in this, right?" Like, no. So there was no animals in that. But yeah, I think the base was just kind of like a tapioca brownie glock. With some corn thrown in. I don't remember what else. There was other stuff for sure.
Is there very much downtime on set, and do you actually get to have real conversations and talk to people, get to know them, or is it move so lightning fast that you don't really have time for them?
So you can, but I was going on like 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night because I was staying at the production house, right? So I was like some of the earliest in and some of the latest out, going in the vans. So when I had a little bit of downtime on set, maybe I would rest up, right? I would get ready there, rest up if I had things on set to do that day, or if I was off, I'd be observing. So I would, in certain parts of the set, there would be, an overhang where I would go upstairs and watch. I'd watch different departments. I would be in Video Village, and I would be watching kind of how they were, discussing the shots and, some of the special effects stuff, I would be, watching them kind of how they're going through that. And I wanted to watch all the departments and get as much as I could in. So I really wasn't like socializing too much. There was a huge holding room where like a lot of the actor persons were in there, and they got to bond, and everybody was hanging out in there. And they made great friendships and stuff. But I was so focused on like, how are they doing this film? How are they making this? What are they doing? What's this to do on the camera guy? And what's he doing with this? And I was more focused on that. More of the bonding I did was like in the house afterwards when like you know, you had somebody's foot pressed against your face when you're like crammed up sleeping, you know, with a few folks that were staying in the house.
So in your average day, like how long was your average day? Like 14, 15 hours on set, or is it
Sometimes 20.
wow, how do you how do you function?
So there's um the cup of soups and they give you like a lunch break, and then there were some great sponsors that donated like Balls energy drinks and cocaine energy drinks, so we had a ton of those on set. I think Johnny Ryan soda gave us some like money bag soda. There was like Gene Simmons soda that was there on set, so we had like, you know,
Huh.
little bevies to keep us going. And it was, you know, in go mode. I had one of the costume girls. She gave me like this little powder that you put in water, and it gives you like a little energy. It's got like vitamins and stuff. That was a lifesaver for me. You
How
get
long
it
did
and
it take
shake
you
it
to
up.
recover after everything was done?
Probably, I mean, I looked beat up. Like there's a photo when I came home and I just looked beat up. I took a picture with like a cigarette hanging out of my mouth and like just in like a granny gown, and I was like, I'm not moving. But like I think I took a couple day trip. I went to like Montauk and hung out for like a week afterwards to try and like decompress with one of my friends from set. But just like yeah, I did like a week of decompression and then came home. And I mean, even then it was still probably like a month of trying to get my brain to embody the snap back to what my normal is, just from like going, what the hell just happened? And then of course you're sad and you're crying, and I was, because I missed everybody, you stay with people and you're forming these friendships and creating this art, and you're like, oh man, that was so cool.
Do you still regularly talk to people from set?
Yeah, yeah.
Were you familiar with The Tempest beforehand?
Okay. So in high school, I used to skip English class a lot. Go figure. I would be smoking cigarettes. But there was this nice teacher who used to take me in like a study hall and like private tutor me during my study halls because they had hope for me because I was real good in my other classes. And they taught me about Cliff Notes. There's Cliff Notes or whatever, where you don't have to read, because I think we had to read like Romeo and Juliet at one point. So I remembered this. So when I had heard about The Tempest, we were doing The Tempest, Lloyd had mentioned to watch maybe familiarize myself a little bit with it and watch maybe some of the older adaptions of it. Well, I went to the library and I grabbed like all these Shakespeare books, and I just kind of was like going through all of them and like writing different I had like notebooks and writing different phrases and reading different Cliff's Notes. So I just tried to familiarize myself with as much as I could, because I didn't want to be totally lost on it and going in like, what is this? What is this character? What is this talking about? And so I think it helped. I wasn't completely lost.
Where did you draw inspiration for Puck? Did you have any routines to get in the character, or where did that come from?
Well, really the character is kind of it's a magical character, right? So I think what I wanted it to be, although similar to what is based in Shakespeare, I wanted it to be something like of its own. So, I mean, honestly, no, it was just something that I threw together. I was like, it's a party, you know, a party magical character that really, because I didn't want to take too much away from the, you know, more of the principal characters, right? Because, you
Gotcha,
know,
like
there's
Aaron.
Ariel who's, right. So if I put too much into whatever I'm doing, you know, because I hadn't discussed with her like what she's doing with her character, or who's, you know, I hadn't, this is really the first kind of film I've worked on. Now going forward, I think that that could be something I could do in the future. Like, hey, what are you doing with your character? What are you doing with your character?
What
Now
would
I
be
know.
your dream role, or is it already been? Is it Shakespeare Shitstorm, or what would you consider to be your dream role?
Oh, I don't even know. That's a weird question. Thank you for that one, by the way.
Is there something that you'd like to play that you haven't played yet? Like, or
You're
let
gonna stop me with this.
is there anything so taboo that you would not play it?
That's weird. You know, I like playing villains, right? But I would have to think that like it would have to be like somebody so bad that it would be hard to come back from. Like
Kind of
that.
like I know what you mean. What's his name? The guy that plays Negan. You know what I'm talking about on Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Free Dean Morgan. Like his character's so vile that like people give him death threats all the time, and old ladies tell him.
Yeah, like I would feel like that would be. I mean, honestly, I'm drawn to those type of characters. Like I like to study people that play them. I'm like, wow, they're so terrible. I love that character. But man, that's got to be rough, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that
can
would
you
be so.
imagine going the rest of your life and people like I don't understand how like simple people are where they mistake the moving picture for reality. You know, like how could you see this? I'm like, wow, that guy really did do it. You know, I'm like, it's just crazy. Like
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
like,
it's fascinating.
that's a testament to like how incredible of an actor they are, though, because you know if you've got people fooled in reality, you're a pretty damn good actor. But again, I can see. But all this stuff to say, I don't know this personally, but you know, they say villains are the most fun to play. So I mean,
Right. So that kind of dream rolly, but kind of also like, man, there's a hard line. Like, where wouldn't I go? Like, do I want everyone hating me that much? Really? I don't know.
can you name me a fun fact about Vada Callisto that people might not know about you?
Goodness. A fun one?
Sure. Do you kickbox or do you crochet? Do you
Kind of a cat lady right now at the moment. That's not super fun to most people.
well, we are as well. So I'm a
Are you?
lady as well. So
I used to train for pro wrestling. So some people
that's that. There you go. That's pretty amazing. What was that like?
That was intense and that was super fun.
Does it,
and I loved it.
Is it painful? Because that seems to me like that'd be like a really painful thing.
The only painful part was like when people would call me and be like, "Stop whatever you're doing and do 100 squats." and they're like, "I hate you." That'd be the grocery store checkout line, like bumping out 100 squats.
You like bench pressing turkeys in line, or like?
Right.
Have you encountered old friends that resent your success now, and how do you handle them?
Good question. It doesn't come out like resenting my success, but it comes out as passive aggressive friendship.
I know exactly what you mean with that.
You just have to just hit the mute and block button and just say, you know what? I'm not dealing with this right now.
I always kind of look at it as a positive because then you kind of see who's really for you and who's against you, and you don't need people like that in your life. So fuck it.
You can seem to start poking and chipping and looking for reasons to fight with you, and I'm like, what
did I do? Yeah.
Why are you doing this? I've known you 15 years. Like, stop.
Yeah, I get it for sure. What's the weirdest thing a fan has ever asked you to do? And hopefully it's not my interview.
That's a good question. The weirdest thing. I mean, like of all time, I've signed guitars. That was pretty weird. That was a weird feeling. Because I was like, are you sure you want me to sign this thing? Like that felt weird to me. So I was like, I'm gonna ruin it. It was like a nice guitar. I mean, I've had like this, I don't know.
That's pretty good that you haven't had anything so out of the ordinary that it's just like, oh, yeah.
I mean, there's like one guy I had a blog, like
like nobody's asked you to sign
like,
their butt before or nothing, right?
Oh, I used to do that for fun, just because it was fun. Like I was like I would go in as like a young girl, like just going through like West Palm Beach, and they're like, "Hey, bartender, let me sign your bottom. Take a picture. It'll be worth millions someday." Like, fun as a youngster.
Let me ask you this: what do you think is easier? Is writing easier or is acting easier to you?
Oh, acting's way easier. I wish I could write. Like, even though I have like a stage fright, right? So like I'm still kind of like a little nervous. I can learning to power through that. Writing is difficult for me. I can bounce with other people, like, and we can get the concept together, and I find that to be most productive for me. But for me to just sit down and just like, it's terrible. It's full.
Who's given you the most inspiration and support in your career thus far?
It should come like easy, right?
I mean, maybe there hasn't been that many people, or
I mean, my grandmother is kind of supportive, even though she thinks like what I do is kind of perverted. Like she goes, "It's perverted." I have to say, like, she listens and she like has let me film her, and she'll look at the articles I send her, and she tells me I look pretty, and she's watched Shakespeare's #Shakespeare shitstorm. She sat through it all. She didn't leave. I think that
you should have been recording that. That would have been like the best special feature ever. Although I've watched Human Centipede 2 with my mom before, and I probably should have recorded that.
Yeah, for an 80-year-old woman, I mean, I have to give it to her. Like she was, that's pretty supportive.
That I think you found it. Yeah.
She's in my corner. So even if she goes, like, I don't know, but
that's great though. I mean, it's great to have somebody that's just not judgmental and just supports you because you're doing what you love. So I mean, that's perfect. Let me ask you, what is the best gift anybody's ever given you?
I think I had myself, right? This is going to be I gave myself the gift of sobriety, but I did, right?
Oh, that's commendable. That's incredible. I stopped drinking many years ago too, and it was probably the best decision I ever made.
I don't think I'd be able to do what I do now. I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be able to. Even though, most people are like, it's not, you're not doing that much. But for me, it is a lot. And I don't think that I'd be able to function like I am now without it. I wouldn't be having this conversation.
It's funny because like whenever you're in the middle of it, you don't realize the detrimental impact it had on your life. And then like there's times now like my wife and I will see like, I think the worst thing for me is the Facebook memories. You'll see, you'll have a memory of like, memories will pop up of like, oh, look at me, I was passed out in like another county, or look at me, this and this. And I'm like, yeah, Facebook is a cruel mistress because like I don't need to be reminded of all my past mistakes, So it's like, yeah, so that's I totally understand, but I definitely think that's an incredible something to be proud of for sure. That's a great thing. So yeah, that doesn't sound, corny at all. That's an incredible answer. So
like right around the same time, I would have to say probably my sister. She gave me my nieces.
Oh.
So that's kind of, yeah, that's a nice little gift. Kind of right around the same time I got sober. So yeah, they're like they go hand in hand.
Nice. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Ooh. People not being mind readers.
Yeah, goddamn them.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing you can't live without?
Let's see. Music.
Good answer. Totally get it. We're a very musical household here. We love live music. I can't imagine. I don't understand people that don't enjoy music. Like I almost very distrusting. Like because like it's such a, it's everything. I mean, media and then everything are your likes and music is what defines you as a person. So
it moves movies, it moves people.
Yeah,
it moves...
whether people want to admit it or not, your likes define you as who you are. And I can't even imagine not having those feeling like, just music alone, elicits so many responses and emotions daily. It could put you in the best mood if you're not in one. And, it could I just don't understand. My boss doesn't listen to music at all. And I'm just like, it blows me. I constantly ask them questions. I'm like, how do you survive in life? Like, how could you possibly be that way? It's like, I don't get it. But
there's no way.
I just don't understand. Oh, I got one for you. If you could go back in a time machine and give your littler self some key advice, what would you tell yourself?
There's a lot, probably. You're not as ugly as you think you were.
Yeah, I'm still convinced I am as ugly as I think I am. So.
But I think, like, growing up, like a lot of like teenagers and teen girls or teen boys, they go through like the puberty thing, right? And
yeah, I've never felt comfortable in my own skin. Like it's
the crazy puberty there, and they don't know how to do their makeup or whatever, and they're going through all these changes in their body, and they're hormonal, and like you just have meltdowns. And I think that it weighs on a lot of kids
to begin with. That it's awkward already, so I can only imagine. Like, I would never want to. Yeah, I'm 45 and I still feel that way, so I don't know.
I know.
I don't think it's ever going to end. So I mean,
it doesn't. But you're not like looking back. You go, oh, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I had a heck of a time back then. So I don't know. I mean, I almost feel like I'm happy. Finally, finally getting happy. You know, finally getting to where I'm supposed to be. I only took 45
Yep.
years, but hey, the only place you can go from the bottom is up. So, who is someone that you admire that you have yet had to work with?
Mm. A lot of people. Um,
Well, you could cross Balls from Ellwood off the list, so we're all good.
okay. Balls from Ellwood is crossed off the list. I mean, directors, actors. I don't know who. I don't know.
Whatever. Give me one director and one actor. How's that?
Okay. One director. I would say. Okay. Okay. The actor is Gillian Anderson.
Oh, from X-Files. Good choice.
Yes. And is Ryan Murphy directing still? Does he direct?
Not sure on that one.
I know, right? Does he just produce stuff?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean that's qualifies.
I want to be in like a Ryan Murphy production. All his stuff looks like mint.
Interesting. Well, let me ask you this. Before, I don't want to keep you all night long, but before we close, do you have a positive message that you could share to my audience for trying to deal with this crazy world nowadays?
A positive message.
Yes.
Mm. Fly your free flag.
I love that. Perfect way to end this.
Let it fly. Someone out there is gonna see it, and their antennas, they're gonna go and be like, "Hey!"
And real honestly, that's why I love Troma so much. Like I want to live in Tromaville, like because like I love the idea of a place where everybody is created equal, everybody is accepting, everybody you know is doesn't care about caught up in stupid stuff. Like everybody just loves what they love, their likes, and they get along. And like I think that's just so it's such an amazing such an amazing idea to me. I want to live in Tromaville, Vada.
Yeah.
There you have it. Thank you so much for being my guest. Before we go, can you please tell us where we could keep up with you, where we could keep up with your upcoming projects on the information superhighway? You're on
Yes.
Instagram, I know, right?
Yes, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Vada Callisto, VADACALLISTO, and on the TikTok. I think all the kids are doing the TikTok now. It's at Vada.Callisto. It's the only one that's a little different.
Well, you heard it here first, cats. Before you go and do that, you're going to want to run out, check out Troma's latest, greatest hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm. You can see this lady right here, the amazing Vada Callisto, and that amazing shirt you can order on Troma now. I think Troma. Check that out. Check her out in Shakespeare shitstorm. You're going to love it if you're a Troma fan. It's an amazing film. Thank you so much for being my guest, and it's playing all over. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Lloyd's taking that all over to different theaters all over the world, right?
Yeah, he's going. It started in like Fantasia Fest in Montreal, and it's just been going all over. I think up next is Kansas City, and then it'll be going to LaMille and Los Angeles coming up in June. Keep your eye out. LA. Trying to think where else. Your mom's basement.
If your local theater doesn't carry it, you're going to want to get on the phone and tell them they better. We're going to send Toxie over there, and he's going to have a talk. So, other than that, Vada, peace and love, peace and love. Thank you for being my guest. It was an honor and a privilege to have you. Thank you so much. Thanks for being a guest. And hey, you're going to have to come back and see us again real soon.
I would love to.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Take care.